So I have a lot of companies that reach out to me wanting me to do product reviews for them. And I turn a lot of those companies down just due to the fact that the products that they want me to review really just don't have anything to do with what we do here on the channel. But every now and then a product will come along that really doesn't have anything to do with what we do here on the channel, but I'm like, that's pretty awesome, and I've got a lot of uses for that. And that is what we have here. Now this is a camping fan, and this is the F11 by the company Ogery or Ogery. It just depends on who you watch on YouTube, but I've heard it pronounced both ways. Let's get this out of the box and check it out. Alright, we are a few weeks into the future, and I have been using this fan a lot in those last few weeks. And I knew I was going to like this fan, but I had no idea I was going to like it as much as I do. Now the first thing we're going to talk about is the knob here in the middle. This is what turns the fan on and how you control the fan speed. So you're going to turn it to the right, it's going to beep. And if you look down here at the bottom, we have an LED screen, and right now we're at 25%. Turn it up to 50. It'll go up to 75. And then it's maxed out. Now when you hit 100% and it's maxed out, it will beep to let you know that it is turned up all the way. Now if you look here at the top, you have another LED screen, and this is your battery level. So it's going to let you know when it's fully charged at 100%, and it will drop down to 25%. Now the button over here on the far right, when you hit this, this is for at night. If you're trying to sleep in a tent, camper, whatever, you can actually hit this button. That will turn on your LEDs. It'll let you know what speed the fan's on. It's letting me know that we're still at 100% on the charge. But if you hit it again, it will shut that screen off so you don't have those blue lights on while you're trying to sleep. Now the other super cool feature with this fan is that it does have an LED light here on the front. And to use that, you're going to go to this button right here. You're going to tap it. It's going to turn the light on. It's on the lowest setting. You'll tap it again. It's on medium. Tap it again, it's on high. Tap it again, and it shuts off. Now this fan also is an oscillating fan, and that's what the next button we're going to talk about does. So right here, you're going to tap this button, and the fan is going to start to turn. Now right above the button we have the screen that lets you know what degree that the fan is turning at. So right now we're at 60 degrees. You can go to 90, and it will go a full 120 degrees. Alright, now let's talk about what the last button on here does, and this is a timer. So if you hit this button, it will shut off automatically in 1 hour. So if you want to turn this on, you're getting ready to go to sleep, you think you're going to fall asleep in less than an hour, you can set the timer on this. When it hits an hour, it's going to shut itself off. It also has a 2-hour position, a 4-hour position, or it can run for a solid 8 hours before it will shut itself off. Alright, I've got the fan turned around, so let's go over what we got going on here on the back of our F11 fans. So here we have a remote control. It does have a built-in holder. We'll talk about that here in a second. It also has a USB Type-C port and a regular USB port right beside that. Now what's cool about this, you can use this as a power bank. And this does have a 20,000 milliamp battery. So the nice thing is, with this USB output right here, you can charge phones, Bluetooth speakers, you name it. And then right here beside it, where we have the USB Type-C port, this is how you charge the battery for the fan. And you can also charge your devices with that. And what's super cool is that you can be using the fan or using the light and still charging your devices. So it comes in very handy. Alright, let's start talking about all the things that I've been using this fan for over the last few weeks. And I've used it for quite a few different things. I took it to the range with me the other day when I was doing the review on the Firefield Rapid Strike LPVO, and I was sitting at the bench for quite a while shooting steel plates at 100 yards, and then I went out to 200 yards, and I put the fan right on the corner of the bench and had it blowing on me while I was shooting. It was absolutely awesome, especially since it was almost 90 degrees, bright sunny day, it was hot, and it was just nice having this fan sitting beside me. And one of the biggest things that I do to relieve stress is I will take my custom-built 1022 to the range with a bunch of ammo and just sit at the bench for an hour or two, plinking at targets at 50 yards, sometimes 100 yards. And this is going to come in handy because I can just have it sitting on the corner of the bench blowing on me, and I can just sit there and unwind and relax and plink for hours on end and have a fan blowing on me to stay somewhat cool. And speaking of sitting at the bench while I'm shooting, even if I want to use this fan while I'm filming, this thing is so quiet that it's not going to interfere with my microphone. When this thing is turned all the way up on high, it is only putting out 30 decibels. Now the next thing I was using the fan for when I was at the range, and I just wanted to take a break and sit behind the truck in a chair and cool down, is I would set this on the tailgate and have this blowing on me, but I could also cool my cameras down and put a little bit more charge back on my cameras while I was taking a break, so I could have the fan running, have the USB-C to USB-C cable plugged in to my DJI Pocket 3 camera, and now I can sit there and cool off and get my camera cooled down and still be charging the camera at the same time. Now before I get into the next thing that I use this fan for, I do want to point out that this does have a carry handle here on the top that flips down. And what is super cool with this is if you look here on the bottom, there goes my remote, we have a hook here on the bottom of the fan. So when I get off of work and I want to relax, I go out on the back patio, sit down at the table, got the umbrella above me, and I can hang this fan from the bottom side of the umbrella blowing down on me. And what makes it even cooler is when it's like this and you're using the hook, you can turn the fan and have it blowing right down on you, and you can angle it towards you or someone else sitting at the table with you. Just a lot of super cool features on this fan. And speaking of sitting out on the patio, if you decide to sit out there even after dark, you can still have the fan pointing down on you. And you also have the light here. You can turn the light on, and now not only do you have cool air blowing down on you, you also have a light to light up the table that you're sitting at. Another thing that I like using this fan for is I have a safe right over here in the corner, and I like to set this on the corner of the safe blowing towards my table here because when I get all these lights on in here, even though it's air conditioned, it gets a little warm in this area. So being that this fan is so quiet and the fan sitting over there, I can get a nice little bit of airflow over here while I'm filming. And the same thing when I'm sitting over here at my desk editing videos. I can set this on top of my printer. I can plug it into a USB-C charging cable. I can have the fan blowing on me while I'm editing videos, while I'm also charging the fan back up. And the last thing that I really like to use this for, going back to sitting out on the patio, if I've got some friends over, I've got my little JBL speaker sitting on the table, we're having a couple beers, we want to listen to some music, you can turn this on, turn the oscillating mode on, have it spinning, blowing air on your friends sitting at the table with you, and at the same time you can be charging your phone and charging your Bluetooth speaker all at the same time. And I'm sure I'm going to find a lot of other uses for this. All right, let's talk about the remote control, and this comes in pretty handy too. So you can pretty much do all the modes with the remote control. It's got an on-off button right there in the center. You got your fan speed controls up and down, and left and right turns on the light. So hit the button, turns the fan on. You can turn the light up. You can also turn on the oscillating part of the fan. So the remote control comes in pretty handy, and it will work up to 16 feet away, but you do have to have the remote pointing at the front of the fan. So let's go over a few other things here real quick about this fan. Battery life on this. So if you have this fan cranked all the way up on high, you're going to get 11 to 12 hours out of the battery, which is pretty awesome. Now, if you're running the light or any of the other features on this fan, obviously it's going to cut down a little bit on the battery time. Now, what's quite impressive with this is if you're running it on low, this can last up to 60 hours before you have to charge it again. And speaking of charging this, you can use all the way up to a 20-watt charger, and you can take this from 0% to 100% in 4 to 4.5 hours. Now, what I like to do with this is normally it's plugged in over by my computer, so it's always got a full charge. But if it doesn't, I can plug it in my RAM on my way to the gun range and be getting some charge put on it while I'm driving over there, because I do have about a 40-minute drive to the range. And the same thing when I'm driving home, plug it back in and partially charge the battery while I'm driving. So anytime I'm in the truck, I have this plugged in. And I can say over the last few weeks of using this nonstop, I've never had an issue where the battery died on it. Now, we talked about all the different modes on the fan, that it does have 4 different speeds, and that it is very quiet. But I will say this, when you do have this all the way up on high, it is putting a wind speed out of 12 miles an hour. So let's talk about the pros and cons of getting this fan. But one thing that we haven't talked about yet that is a definite pro is the fact that this comes in under 60 bucks, which is pretty awesome, especially for everything that you're getting on this. Now, that is the price on Amazon, and I will make sure that I put my affiliate link in the weekly deals section on my website if you want to pick one of these up. But when they reached out to me to do a review on this fan, I thought this thing was going to be a lot more expensive just looking at the pictures of it. But under 60 bucks is hard to beat. Now, as far as cons go with this, I've really only got one con, and it's just something that I'm a little worried about, but obviously being an oscillating fan, it moves back and forth, so we do have some sort of turntable thing here between the battery and the fan itself, but it is a little flimsy. Now, I haven't had any issues with it. It's been in and out of my truck 5 or 6 times. Everything's working great on it. I just hope that this doesn't end up being a problem. It probably won't, but it's something that I do want to point out. But other than that, that's really the only issue I have with it. So I really want to thank Ogery, or Ogery, however you pronounce it. I really want to thank them for sending this out. This is an awesome product. I know it's something a little different than I normally would review on this channel, But I'm really glad I got it, and I'm really glad I did this review, because I think everyone will have a use for this fan. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.